What's going on, kids? Pastor Jacob here with another LifeGroup video. I have a super big problem. My super duper soft plushy unicorn pillow has been stolen. I went to sleep and had it all snuggled up underneath my head, and when I woke up, it was gone. Some unicorn pillow bandit had gotten my pillow and I don't know what to do.
Jacob, you left your pillow at the church again.
Oh. I'm so glad that I found my pillow. I thought someone had stolen it. Our lesson today is about a blessing that was stolen. Our story comes out of the book of Genesis. Genesis is in the Old Testament, and it's the very first book in the Bible. We're going to be in Genesis chapter 25, so take a minute and find Genesis chapter 25. Last week, we learned about Abraham's son, Isaac, and how Isaac needed a wife. And if you remember, Abraham sent his servant and he found Rebekah, and her and Isaac were married. Now it's years later and Isaac and Rebekah are about to have twins. They have two baby boys. One is all hairy and grows up to be a great hunter. His name is Esau. While the other grows up to be a little bit more quiet, and his name is Jacob. So we have Isaac and Rebekah and their two boys, Esau and Jacob. One day, Esau came in from hunting, and Jacob had just finished making this yummy smelling stew. Esau barged into the tent and he said, "Jacob, give me some of that good smelling stew you got there." Jacob looks over at his brother and says, "Sure, give me your birthright first though." His birthright? Now kids, a birthright is something very special. Back in these times, the birthright would go to the oldest son. And having the birthright meant that you would get more of your family's land and money and just stuff than the rest of the kids. And it was a very big deal, and it was super special. Especially when we're talking about this family. Remember, this is the family that God promised to make a great nation. That is the birthright of Esau. God's promise, but Esau's belly was rumbling, and he sells his birthright to his brother for some stew. Esau didn't value his birthright. He did not value the promise that God made to his family. He was willing to give it all up for next to nothing. Now some years go by. Isaac's become an old man. He can't see, he can barely move, but he wants to do something for his oldest and favorite son, Esau. He wants to give him a blessing. And a blessing is another super important thing from way back in this time. This blessing was supposed to represent what God was going to do in Esau's life. Isaac asked his son Esau, "Go on a hunt and bring me some delicious food. And when you get back, I'm gonna bless you." Esau jumps up and he takes off on the hunt. But Rebekah overheard what Isaac told Esau. So Rebekah goes and she grabs her favorite son, Jacob. She tells him all about Isaac's plan to bless Esau. And she wants to trick Isaac so that Jacob gets the blessing instead. So Rebekah goes and she makes Isaac his favorite food, and then she takes some of Esau's clothes and then some animal hair and puts it all on Jacob. So now he smells and feels like Esau. And remember, Isaac can't see well, so he can't just look at Jacob and tell them apart. Jacob goes to Isaac, and Isaac can tell something's off. This person feels and smells like Esau, but he sounds like Jacob. But Jacob convinces him that he is Esau, and Isaac believes him. He takes Jacob's food, he eats it, and then Isaac goes on to bless Jacob. Jacob gets up, he leaves, and not long after, Esau comes in. Jacob and Rebekah's plan is found out, but it's too late for Esau. The blessing has been given. Esau is mad, like really mad. Rebecca hears about just how mad Esau is, and she grabs Jacob and sends him away to live with their brother Laban until Esau can calm down. There's a lot of stuff going down with this whole family. You got parents playing favorites, you got one brother tricking the other brother, and you got one who just doesn't care about his family's birthright. I don't know if any of them are innocent in all this. But what is clear throughout this story is that our sin hurts others. Jacob stole a blessing from his brother, and taking that blessing really hurt Esau. And it takes Esau a really long time to ever forgive his brother. Have you ever done anything to hurt someone else? I know I have. I'm not proud of the times that my sin has hurt people, whether it was lying or not doing what I was told. Our sin can hurt others in a lot of ways, and sometimes that hurt can last a long time. We're gonna make mistakes, because we just can't be perfect. But if we keep our eyes on Jesus and how he lived, then we can do a lot better in not hurting other people with our sin. Paul writes in Ephesians 5:1, be imitators of God. That means look like God, try to act like God. So be imitators of God as dearly loved children, and walk in love as the Messiah. The Messiah is Jesus. So walk in love as the Messiah also loved us and gave himself for us. It's memory verse time. Who's ready for a new memory verse for the month? This month we have a whopping 2 verses. I know, a little tricky, right? But I bet every one of you can memorize these 2 verses in a month. You may actually even recognize these verses. Our verses for the month of October are found in the book of Proverbs. Do you know which testament Proverbs is in? The Old Testament, that's right, great job. Proverbs comes after the book of Psalms, which you may remember is in the middle of your Bible. And then Proverbs comes before the book of Ecclesiastes. Take a minute and find the book of Proverbs. Hopefully you found Proverbs. Our verses this month are in chapter 3 and then verses 5 and 6. Let's practice our verses together. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will make straight your paths. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. These are some great verses to remind us to always trust in God. There's so many times that we need help in making decisions or with what to do. These are great verses for us to hide in our hearts and remember when we're faced with tough choices or when we're trying to decide what to do, we need to trust God and not rely on our own understanding. You all are growing smarter every day, and I know you're all learning so much between math and English and science and so many other things. And there may be times that you start to think that, well, we kind of know everything. But we never know everything. Trust God and don't lean on your own understanding. What you know, God knows more and God knows best. Trust him. I'm excited to learn motions and explore this verse more with you this coming month. Now let's jump into craft time. It's craft time! I know. You're all used to Miss Emily being here for craft time. But I'm gonna be filling in for Miss Emily for a little while. For our craft today, you can do what we did in LifeGroups. We made clay pots out of pinch clay. So if you wanna order that, or maybe you just got some hanging around your house, go for it. It was an awesome craft to make pots and remind us of the stew and the food from our story. If you don't want to do that, you can do what I did here and make a cutout stew picture. I cut out a bowl and then I cut out a whole bunch of foods to go in my stew. I put in some deer meat, I put in some potatoes, I put in some mushrooms because mushrooms are delicious, don't argue with me on that. And then I put in a Dorito because Doritos are great. Delicious, I know. Then around my picture, I put God is greater than my hunger. I know, that's kinda silly, but Esau in our story sold his birthright because he was hungry. You know, I could get cranky sometimes when I get hungry, but even when we're hungry, we need to remember God is in control, and He is more important than our hunger. It's a little silly, I know, but sometimes we do silly things like Esau when we're hungry. I've really enjoyed studying this lesson with you all this week. See you guys next time. Bye!